Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Diane and my passion is painting and creating nature-inspired watercolours in my studio, which are easy for you to do too. I share all my paintings with you on YouTube, and on our website dianeantone.com you can find free downloadable sketches for all the videos to help you make the most of your painting journey. And if you'd like a little bit more, we also have channel memberships with loads of perks for you to enjoy. So welcome on board. Click subscribe and turn on notifications, and let's learn to paint watercolour. Hi everyone, Diane here, welcome to my studio. I'm just activating, I love the use of that word, I'm just spraying my paints that I left yesterday, the scrips and scraps and bibs and bobs of stuff that I've mixed up recently, just spraying them with water to get them going. I've got my big butcher's tray here with lots of watercolor on because I'm going to today do a kind of meditative thingy, whatnot, a sort of landscape, but not a landscape really, a deconstructed landscape, which is something I've invented as a way of describing things which are not realistic, but they're not abstract because they remind you of something. And I'm tired of saying semi-abstract because that sounds like semi-detached, which is kind of house in England, and it's not as good as detached. So you sort of think, oh, no, I'm not semi-abstract. So you're going to have to bear with me for a second while I just get this all going, because I might use some of these as well. The ones on the butcher's tray are mostly Winsor & Newton, or there's some Old Holland, there's a couple of Daniel Smith, there's some Schminker, there's just from a collection of paints that I've acquired over the years, tubes, because that's my natural method. And I know quite a lot of you also use tube paints, but they seem at the beginning to be much more expensive than the tins of paints that you can get, because the Chinese have sort of, concentrated on selling us these tins of paint, like this one, the Paul Rubens. This is the Paul Rubens watercolour set, which they sent me to review, which I have reviewed, and it's quite nice. It's got, isn't it, 24 paints, and they're all nice and strong. I just wish that they were in tubes, and they do them in tubes, but they're hard to get because they don't seem to have them in stock on Amazon. So I don't know where you're supposed to get them, really. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, as far as products goes, today I'm going to use some different brushes. These are probably, there should be 4 of them. Where's the other one gone? Oh no. Has the cat stolen it? Okay, well, I'm going to talk about these 3 then. Yes, this is Tamsin bought these for me for my Christmas present, or part of my Christmas present. There were 2 Princeton Aqua Elite brushes, one that size and one either larger or smaller, I can't remember, and one Princeton Neptune, 2 Princeton Neptunes, a size 4 and a size 8. That one is a size 8 also. When you get a new brush, it will be stiff like that, and what you need to do is you need to immerse it in water and just soften it up, rinse it, and make sure that you've got all of the sizing, or whatever they call it, out of the brush so it's no longer stiff, and then you're set to go. That's all you have to do. This one similarly, we just put it in the water, give it a little fondle, and there you go. And I don't know whether there's much to, well, that one's a little bit longer than that one. They're both size 8. This one's a little bit slimmer, maybe doesn't have quite such a wide belly. We'll see whether I notice any difference when I'm very easygoing with brushes, to be quite honest. I'm not particularly fanatical about what I paint with. I tend to just go for whatever comes to my hands first. Yeah, we'll try those out and see how they go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some pale, very, very pale, very, very pale blue in the top of this piece of paper here, which seems to have a mark up there. I don't know where that is. Get rid of that, perhaps, if we're lucky. Maybe not. It won't show because it won't show. I won't let it show. Yeah, so I'm going to take, actually probably, well, let's go with this one. Because the idea of this is it's going to be slow. We're doing slow food today. So we take a pale blue and I'm just going to do broken strokes with plenty of water across the top here. I'm going to incorporate into it, can you see okay? Yeah. Some pale pink. I'm working on a sheet of etcher, watercolor block. And the idea is to just create a relaxed landscape. This brush is nice. Very nice. Thank you, Tamsin. And keep the strokes broken up. See how I'm sort of dancing across the paper. And in some poems, they talk about the sky being like a bowl. So I'm going to try and give it a little bit of a curve. I'm going to keep it quite pale though, but sort of imagine a kind of curve like that. And I'm not joining the strokes together. I'm just dancing and jumping across the paper. And now I'm going to introduce a tiny bit of yellow, always dangerous. Beware of yellow, but if we're going to have sun, oops, there's a hare or a rabbit. If we're going to have sun, we have to have some yellow, don't we? So we'll just do that. And the idea is that this is supposed to be quite pretty, you know. We're not going to want green. We'll come back with a bit more blue. And I think there's a very good possibility that we might want to do the first layer of this and then let it dry. And come in and do another layer, possibly. Depends. So yesterday's video, in which I did some sort of trees, what do you call them? Doodly sorts of trees. I was chatting away about all sorts of bits of inane rubbish. I don't know if I'm going to be able to think of anything to say today. I haven't been to see the doctor today, so I can't swoon over his nice warm hands. What can I do? What can I do? What has happened? What has happened? Oh yes, well, a cat caught a mouse. Oh dear, honestly. We've got 5 cats, so there's always a mouse being caught by somebody. And this morning, Frankie caught a mouse. And he brought it home. I watched him. He caught it up the other side of the field and he had it in his mouth and he trotted home and he wanted to bring it into the studio. And I said to him, no, I don't think so, Frankie. So we went out to try to take it away from him, and it got away and ran away, and then it ran straight back into Frankie's mouth. So we yelled at it and yelled at Frankie, and I threw a stone at him and he dropped it. You know, this is because we like them to keep the mice down, but we don't like to see it happening. And then Lottie, who the other day caught a mouse and ate it alive, crunch, it was horrible, was trying to get it. So I said to her, no, Lottie, don't do that, don't do that. So she said, okay, and then she dropped it and rolled over and crushed it. And I'm like, oh, for goodness sake. So it was dead. And so I buried it in the compost. Now I'm coming down to the level of the land here, and we could say it was the sea. So I'm just bringing in some nice light strokes of phthalo blue or something similar to phthalo blue or Windsor blue, whatever. And we're just going to try and do some seaside strokes. So if you see what I mean, just loose, disconnected waves. And we're just using the greens and the blues that I've got here. I could use other colours, but it's probably best to stick with what we've got here. A little bit more yellow in the middle here, perhaps, and a bit darker on the sides. I think, I'm not sure, I haven't tried it yet, but I think, as you know, because I've only just picked it up and washed off the sizing, I think this brush might be quite good for doing florals and things like that. Leaves and petals, perhaps. It feels, it looks, doesn't it? It's got a nice point. So there we are. That is a, I suppose you could say that that was a background, and we might want to let that dry and see what we have, because I think what we have at the moment is a very nice, gentle sky and something that resembles a sea. And you could, if you wanted to, and maybe I'll give it a try. If I can find the salt, which I know I've got here somewhere. While it's still damp, and if you haven't done this before, it's always worth giving it a try. Just sprinkle, this is fine household kitchen salt, and I'm just sprinkling it. You can use the big lumps too, but you get much bigger effects if you use the big lumps. And we just get a few speckles here and see what happens. The result of this varies tremendously according to how wet the paint is, how dark it is, how much salt you put on, and all that kind of thing. So anyway, so that's the background, and I'm going to put that aside to dry. And then I'm not going to shortchange you, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try some leaves or something like that. We'll need a piece of paper. Always a good idea, isn't it? Maybe I'll use this one. I know this paper is really good, the bamboo mixed media paper. And, maybe I'll try and do something, just something a bit radical like that. Ugh. Sorry. One must maintain a little summer even in the middle of winter. Quick flick through the book. Shall I use this piece? Because I'm trying this out. This is a tryout. Do something on the back of this piece here. It's not good paper if you can't paint on the back of it, is it? Okay, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give this a workout for its money. I'm going to do some leaves. Hey, that's a really novel idea, isn't it? I think I'm going to just try picking up and putting down paint. See how it goes. All different colours. It's quite soft. It's actually softer than my Drawwell brushes, I would say. And with a more, possibly a more, the belly, I think, possibly holds more water, which is something that is potentially good, but might be difficult at first to get used to, because I'm not used to it, sort of thing. But you can see I've got more than one colour in the brush there. And we just you know, just learning, actually. That's the word I'm looking for, learning. Wow. That's not the brush's fault. You can do a nice pattern like this, can't you? It's good for a warm-up. And when we've done this, we could just go over it with embellishments if we wanted to. If you pick up more than one colour on the brush at the time, then when you press a little bit harder, you're going to get a blend of colours. I need to add a bit more blue. I think I'm going to turn it around like that because I need to come down from that direction and I'm kind of working against my natural tendency. Ooh, that was a bit exciting. I think it's possible that changing brushes could actually help you to change your style, or it might inadvertently cause you to change your style. So if you're not happy with the way that you paint, it might be a good idea to invest in some new brushes, because I do feel that this one is different. It's definitely different, and that's good. I like it a lot, so that's wonderful. And then I've got this smaller one here, and I could probably use that to it's not the right colour. What do I want? What do I want? A dark green, bit of black in a vibrant green will give you a dark green. I don't know what this is going to be like. Oh, we can't argue with that, can we? I'm just going to turn that round and reach for this here. Yeah, that very, very fine line. So we can manage without our pen. If we can do fine lines like this. Presumably, I should be able to go around the outside edge as well. I want to. And you could, for example, just do veins on the larger ones, and you can, if you press a little bit harder, you get a broader, obviously, line. Well, this is quite fun. Oh, I was going to show you my daughter's Zentangle, and turns out that it's in the back of one of my books. Tamsin did these, I think it was, we just spent one day exploring this, and she came up with these two, and I thought they were absolutely beautiful, and she accidentally did them in my book, not hers. So I have that in the back of my Whimsical Bird book, which has got all of these, which was videos that we did last year, if you remember rightly. This is my tryouts, and some of them actually were filmed. But that, I said to her, oh, you could do a channel with that, you know, that's amazing. I don't know how you do it. This was my effort. This is not really my thing because I don't have the patience. So that was my very, very first one. you know, and it's like, yeah, okay, you're not following the rules, Diane. You're not playing by the rules here, not going by the book. So that was a complete disaster, that one. And then I kind of got myself a little bit more organised and managed to achieve that, which is nowhere near as good as Tamsin's. And then I did that one on a piece of paper outside, so I just stuck that in. And again, I'm not playing by the rules. And then I gave up. So not my thing, but yeah. Anyway, so we were talking about that and saying, oh, it would be nice to put some of those, you could do that. You know, it's just a matter of time, really. We don't really have enough time to be able to start another channel, not properly, because this one is taking up all of our time. But then we were thinking, oh, what could we do? And what we're sort of thinking about this, and it won't be anything to do with this channel. It won't affect this at all. But I quite fancy doing some remixes of shorts, because there's a few people whose voices I like when they read poems or they read from books or they read prayers or whatever. And I'm thinking about doing some remixes and starting perhaps with the Dean of Canterbury Cathedral, who is retired now, but he's got some really nice things on his garden congregation where he reads prayers and talks about things in general. And you're allowed to take snippets from people's videos. People can take snippets from ours as well. And I've taken snippets from Emma Lefebvre and people like that, and just shared them on. It's an interesting world out there. I don't purport to understand it, and I'm just amazed actually at how long this brush is continuing to produce paint. Isn't that amazing? It's just going on and on and on. I think it might be coming towards the end now, but we've got some really nice backgrounds and bleeds and things giving us all sorts of texture there, which is great. And we're going to end up with something which would make a very nice design to put into your junk journal or your smash book or your whatever you want to call it. As you know, cut it up into bits and put it in there. I've nearly finished my first one. It's almost completely full. These three are really great. They've got their own lines in them already, and that's super. And then we could, if we wanted to, add background, use some pale blue or something, because this is what I was doing yesterday. I deconstructed the sky and broke it into little round circles. And we just put those in. Just a pale blue. It's nice to do leaves, and this time of the year, because there aren't that many on the trees in the part of the world where I find myself at the present moment. It's kind of nice to do them in sort of wintry blues. These sorts of a little bit icy, a little bit something out of Narnia. Have you read Narnia? Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Fantastic. And then I'm just going to drop in some perspective and see, hopefully they will run and make it a little bit more interesting. Hopefully. I looked up a couple of the people that people suggested. I already listened to Lindsay Wyrich, Frugal Crafter. She's one that I've listened to, because sometimes I feel like listening to her sat chat. Sometimes I find her a little bit too hair-raising, but she's great. I think she's fantastic. She's one of the most evidently hardworking YouTubers out there, and it's clear that she's incredibly dedicated to what she does. I like that. Yeah, I haven't found anyone else. I have to be careful who I listen to in England because I'm a southerner and my accent is from London originally, with a little bit of a kind of intercontinental overflow sort of thing. I don't know if this is going to work. But sometimes what I was going to say was sometimes I can't understand what people from the north of England are saying. I can't quite understand what this. What's that noise? Okay. So I'm going to put that aside for a minute and go back to the landscape that we did and see. I should think this salt must have dried. It hasn't made much of an impact, actually. Perhaps I put it on when it was already too dry. I don't think that's really done anything at all. But what we can do now, isn't the sky pretty? Can you see that? I mean, it's not very dramatic, but it's come out really quite pretty. So the question is, what do you do next? And what you could do is you could just enhance the colours, just strengthen the colours a bit. So let's try and do that, shall we? Let's go into the sky. I'm just using the same remnants of colour that I was using before. I don't want to put too much green into the sky, do I? So let's make sure I've got some of my pinks here. Pinkish brown. This reminds me of something I used to do years ago when I was living in Germany. I did some what they call veil painting in the Anthroposophical School of Art. And that was a bit like this. Very light, very ethereal, you could say. I think probably need to bring some pink in there to link that up. So what we're basically doing here is painting, I suppose, a sunset in a very loose way, something that doesn't make too much of a demand on you visually, because sometimes if things are, some sunsets that people paint, well, when you take a photograph of a sunset, you're always amazed by it. And some people paint sunsets in very strong colours. It's not necessarily all that pleasant. Let's go for more yellowish down the bottom here, perhaps. Can you see how this would be a good way of, just relaxation, really. Just putting colour on paper, exploring your new brush, if you happen to be lucky enough to have one. I'm not trying to achieve anything, really, other than just thinking, oh, that looks a bit like the sea, and perhaps there might be a slight rise in the distance there where the land is, so maybe it's not the sea, perhaps it's a lake. But then, just dropping in some darks. Thanks very much for all the comments on the last video. There was lots and lots of really interesting comments. And one lady said, although you don't teach, I learn a lot. And I thought that was an interesting way of putting it. I try not to teach. I just try to... I don't actually believe in teaching. I think teaching is overrated. Personally, I think people should be allowed to enjoy without being told what to do. Who wants to be told what to do? You have enough of that when you're 3, don't you? Yeah, so I don't know about this, but it seems a little bit featureless to me. Perhaps, I think maybe probably needs something in the sky. Maybe, I don't know if it's dry yet. No, when it's dry, maybe we could put some birds in the sky. So we'll put that back over there and then come back to this one. And I think that what I want to do here is to, first of all, I'm going to put it the right way around, and then I'm going to find a pen. I'm not sure which one is going to work. Let's try that. And I'm going to do my famous, not going to go totally accurately around these leaves. I like to do it so that you go outside, so the leaf is actually moving. That's the idea. And these can be, some of them could be spirals, just casual spirals. And the pen is particularly helpful in bringing the ones that are a little bit out of shape into shape. So you can put that like that. And you get quite a lot of depth and movement, and it's quite enjoyable too, which is the main thing. Plus, it helps to keep the joints in your fingers mobile, which you will be glad of, I think, you know. And then somebody suggested I should take some vitamin C for this weirdness that happened on the back of my hand, which is getting better already. I'm rubbing in arnica cream from Valeda, I think, and frankincense oil, which came from Denise in California. Thank you, Denise. It's coming in handy, all those oils. And it seems to be helping. Somebody recommended that. I found that online, actually. But frankincense is supposed to help with getting rid of bruises. That's basically what it is. So any of you who have the same sort of problem might want to try that. It seems to be speeding up the disappearance of the broken capillaries. Yeah, so I'm just going into some of these. I'm not going to go into all of them, the circles that is, and just spiral into those because I like spirals. And then, I don't know, maybe I might put a few dots on some of the leaves. I really like the colours, the way the colours have come out on this. It's nothing to do with the brush or the paper. I don't actually really like this one, so I'm going to try to lift that a bit using my patent tissue technique. Dabbing out and then we'll just put something really light in there instead. Pale. I'll let that dry and then I'll put the stems in. And this one's a little bit dark too, but it won't be quite so extreme there. I'll just blot out a little bit of it like that. Okay, when that's dry, that'll be fine. And I think we're probably coming to the end of our tether. Maybe I'll just put some sort of half circles around some of these. And I think probably we might be short of dots over here. Try and sort of share the wealth, so to speak. Okay, well, I'm going to call that done now. I think that's fine. I love those brushes. So I recommend them, Princeton Aqua Elite, Princeton Neptune, both really good. I know that I have another Princeton Aqua Elite somewhere. I think I have, unless I'm dreaming. So when I found that, I'll give that a road test too. So Princeton, you get my seal of approval for what it's worth. And we also have over here this little landscape, which I think probably is a great background, needs something in the sky, I think, but maybe not. So I hope you had fun with that today. I hope you do have fun with that today. I hope you enjoy trying out these couple of techniques. And I'll let you go. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, please do. It's my best bedtime reading. And I try to reply to all the comments if I possibly can. If not on the first day, then as soon as I can, I will. What else? Yes, that's about it for today, guys. Any information you want about the materials that we used are in the description below the video. And if you go to our Amazon shop at amazon.com/shop/Diane Antone Studio, you will find links to all of the things that I use. And if you use those links, then we get a small commission, which is really helpful because it supports the channel. So I'll let you go on that note, and thanks very much for being with me, and I'll see you again soon. So bye-bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.
Liam, come on, come on, Liam, come. Good boy. What a good puppy. He's a good boy. Go on then, off you go.